Hey there, it's Larry Lursey. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to do something a little bit different. What I'm going to do is take an image that's just kind of a plain gray, drab type of image, and I'm going to take it into Luminar 4 and just play around with it. I'm going to try some different effects and different techniques to see if I can take it to a place where it's just got a little more interest to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you follow along for the process. I'm going to let you know what I'm thinking, why I'm trying certain things, and why certain things don't work, and just kind of give you an overview of the creative process, at least as far as I would do it, taking an image through Luminar 4. If you don't already have Luminar 4, there is a link in the description where you can download a demo, and you can follow along with me using your own images if you'd like. Also, if you hang on to the end of the video, I will tell you how you can get the software at a discount if you decide that it's something you'd like to try out. If you're new to the channel, I hope you'll take a second to subscribe and click the bell so you know when new content comes out, because we've got a bunch of great stuff coming out over the next few weeks. But without any further ado, let's roll the intro. Alright, so here's the image we're going to work with. Just kind of a snapshot type of image, shot at a wrong time of day, bad weather. You've just got kind of this flat look to it, not much interest in the sky, a little bit, but not very much, and it's just kind of dreary and shows you what the place looks like, but not very interesting to look at, really. So what we're going to do is see what we can do using Luminar to really kick this up a notch and add a little interest and impact to it. What we'll do here is go ahead. I always like to make a copy, and I want to work on this copy layer so that I still have my original intact in case I decide I want to go back to it. I'm going to double click here and rename this. I'll put LUM for Luminar. If we end up liking the look and saving it as a preset, I'll come back here and rename this to the preset name so I know how to duplicate the look. But for right now, we'll just put Luminar on there. So I think we're ready to go. Let's jump in here and do Filter, Skylum, Luminar 4. Okay, so here we are in the software, and again, I'm not going to really try and do as much of an overview of all the different tools and what they all do, as much as show you how I would go through on an image like this and work at enhancing it, and kind of my thought process and why I do some things and why I don't do other things. And I don't have a specific path in mind for this yet. I'm just going to kind of start trying out some of the different effects until I start getting a feel for a way we can take this image and make it a little more interesting. Now, for starters, you may down here at the bottom have all these looks, which is what Luminar calls the presets. We're going to go ahead and turn that off up here at the top, just because we don't need that. We're going to do everything manually and just go through and play this time. Okay, we're going to start up here and start kind of working our way down, and I'm going to start with light. And this has a very cool tone to it. It's way too much blue. I'm going to roll this temperature up a little bit. I'm not trying to make it warm like it's a summer day or something like that. I just want to get it kind of neutral so that as I start doing other effects to it, I won't have everything starting too cold or too hot. I'm just going to try and get it a little more neutral like this. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just so I don't have that hideous blue cast the whole time. Exposure, I think we're okay on exposure. We could probably play with the shadows just a touch and bring them up a little bit, but by and large, I think we're all right with that. We'll go ahead and jump down here to Enhance, and this accent will just add a little bit of punch to things. We don't want to go too far because it's easy to really start giving it a drastic look and start creating some dark lines and things. And then we will hit the structure, slide across a little bit, and I don't, again, want to go too far. It's really easy to boost it all the way up here, and then all of a sudden it gives it this strange look. So bring it back a little bit. I got mine set to about 30. Again, it's going to vary based on the image. We'll do it a little bit more. Let's put it here at about 38. Now, before we go too much further and start messing with color and things like that, I want to go ahead and address the sky issue, because I think this would benefit from having a sky dropped in using Luminar's Replace Sky feature. So I think this is a good opportunity to give that a try, because we've got a pretty plain sky here. We've got some texture up here, but let's take a look and see how it does. And you're going to find those here under the little artist palette. Go up to AI Sky Replacement. Now, you've got a whole bunch of sky selections here if you want to use theirs. You can add your own custom sky. For simplicity, I'm going to try and just add one of these blue skies. I'm not looking for something super dramatic, but what I want is something, see, I don't think this would work well with these big pillowy clouds. I want something that gives us a little bit of texture and a little bit of interest, but isn't so distracting. I think these are a little too exciting. Okay, that's good. That just gives us some color and a little bit of texture, and this also kind of blends with what was there. Now, one problem that you will run into that is important to keep in mind is that when you have water in front like this, you want the reflection to be, so go back here really quickly to like one of these. A sky like this would be reflected here. You would see some of these big clouds and the blue behind it, and you would need to address that here in the water. The nice thing about this one we've picked out here is the color blue we're missing down here, but there's not any defined shapes here, and you kind of get a white section here and a white section here, so I think it's still believable. But when you're using the sky replacement, you can't mirror that sky down onto the water like you traditionally would to add the sky reflection. You have to use your own cloud files. So if you've got a big area of water and you're wanting to make sure that you make that reflection match, you will want to use the down here at the bottom, load custom sky image, and use one of your own skies. But we're just going to use this blue sky 4 for now because I think it's going to work overall for what we want. And I think that's pretty good as far as messing around. You can look under advanced details and adjust some of these things. Sometimes move the horizon up and down, even up here. But it pretty much got it where we wanted it, I think, right off the bat. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's look at the before and after. It looks way better. Okay, so let's leave the sky as it is for now and jump back into our essentials. And we want to go down here to Detail Enhancer and take a quick look here. I'm just going to mess with the large details just a bit. Just gives it a little more. And next thing we're going to jump into here is the landscape editor. And it's always a little bit hard for me to know what this dehaze is going to do, but because we have such a hazy scene here, I'm going to try it. It's definitely warming things up a lot, which I'm not as interested in, so I'm probably going to focus here on the golden hour, which will also warm things, but it's a little more controlled. So you can pop up here and then start kind of scaling it back. And that's good. And we're actually going to go over this again here with even more color, but this is actually pushing it in the right direction. And if we can come up here and take a look here, and that's amazing. I mean, that's crazy how much better that looks. But we're still working. Let's get this out of the way and kind of keep on trucking. I do think I would like a little more contrast. I want to go here to the Pro and do the advanced contrast, because this is going to allow us to kind of pick and choose where we're doing the contrast. And the midtones are kind of the area that I see could really use some, and that's really going to start bringing out these buildings. We can play with the highlight. I don't know that the highlight or really the shadow brings back a lot of interesting stuff we need. It's really these midtones that I'm concerned about. I think that looks much better. Great. Then I want to jump back here to the creative, and I am interested in coming down here to the color styles. And these can add some very interesting looks to things. And what this is going to do is kind of shift the color of the image overall. So while we do still have a difference in the sky and the water, this will help kind of level things out. We're probably still going to need to augment some more blue down here in the water to make it more match this, but we'll take a look for right now and see what this does. So basically what you will do is choose and then come through here, and you're going to kind of move through until you see one that is the look you want. And again, I don't have a set in mind. I know I want something with a little more snap. I don't like these ones that are as kind of faded looking. Like, that's kind of a cool antique type of look, but I'm looking for something. I think I kind of liked one of these up here. You know, I kind of like this Long Beach. I think that's kind of a nice compromise. Gives it a nice glow without going quite so far as like that Palm Springs does. So I think the Long Beach, we'll go ahead and just run through a few more just to make sure. And that Tokyo is kind of cool too. But let's go with Long Beach. And of course you can play around with the intensity of what it is. So we'll dial it back just a touch. And I've got it here about 26, 25. And I'm pretty happy with that. So we're looking pretty good. Now, as I'm doing this, I've just noticed down here that I've got a bunch of these little dust spots. So really quickly, we're going to jump in and fix those by coming up here to the little pencil, which opens up the canvas, and we'll do clone and stamp. Now what we want to do is, it's pretty simple, is you're going to pick an area as your clone source. So like if I'm looking at this little dot here, I'm going to pick a spot next to it. I click, set that as the clone source. Use the brackets to make my brush a little bigger. And I'll just click here. And again, you can see it's taking from the spot off to the right. And this is going to fix a lot of them for us. If I need to reset that point, I just hold down the Option or the Alt key and set another point. There's nothing really else to fix in here, but maybe that. Just click in there and click there. So that's pretty much how you do it. It's a pretty easy one to use. Come back up to done. So now we fixed that. That was just bugging me a little bit. Okay, so we've shifted the color a little bit. We've taken care of those spots. I'd like to fix a little bit of blue down here now. Okay, to add a little blue to that water, I want to come up here to the adjustable gradient under Pro, and I'm going to set it to a bottom orientation so that it's working at the bottom and kind of fading as it goes up. And then I'm just going to basically take the warmth, I'll show you, go all the way, just showing it's really going to make it blue. And it's going to start affecting the middle a bit too, but we're only doing a tiny bit. I just want to get this a little more, so I'm taking it down to like -25. It's close enough that it doesn't look completely different like it did before. And so just bring it down just a little bit. We could play with the mask and protect some of these, but I think it looks okay, just like that. So I've done that. Now we're ready to go back here to Artistic, and I want to put a texture overlay on this. And I think the texture overlays are really nice, especially when you've done things like adding skies and things like that, just to kind of tie everything all in together, and kind of seems to cover your tracks a little bit and just gives it just a little more interest. So we'll hit Load Texture, and I'm going to go to, we're going to guess here on one of these. I'm going to maybe try, we'll try the Angelus paper that's got here and see what that does. This might work, might be a disaster. Okay, now what you're going to want to do is change the blending mode, usually to overlay or soft light. And overlay is a little more dramatic. I think I like soft light better. And then we'll play with the opacity and bring it down a little bit. And if you look at the before and after, it definitely gives it a little more pop and just a little more edge to it. And I think that's probably a little strong. I'm going to take it down to about 22. See what that looks like. And we can go up here again, do the before and after. Which, I mean, it's crazy. It doesn't even look like the same image. It's amazing. Okay, so we're good with that. And I'm going to take it down just a hair more. 17. I think we're going to be happy with that. And so I think we're pretty good here. I might, once I get it back into Photoshop, play around with the cropping just a touch once I've had a chance to kind of look at it. But I think we're pretty close with what we want here. And what I will do is I'm going to go ahead and save this look just so I have it in case I have another similar looking image on an overcast day. It might prove to be a good starting point for me, so I'm going to do Save New Look. And since this is really nice for just taking a gray image and improving it, we'll just call it Improve Gray. And then we've got Improve Gray down here if we want to come back to it. So we will go ahead and hit Apply. Okay, first thing I'm going to do while I'm thinking about it is call this Improve Gray. So I know that that is the preset name that I used. One thing that I will try here, just as I've been looking at it, is I'm still worried that I didn't go far enough on this water down here. It's still a little too green for what that sky looks like, and I feel like it doesn't quite match. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and make a new layer, and we'll just fix this in Photoshop while we're here. And I'm going to come up here and just select some of this sky. Make sure I've got a soft brush. And we'll bring the flow and the opacity down a little bit. I'm basically just going to come back through here and paint some blue. And I really don't even care if it gets up a little bit into the boats, because they've got that reflected color on them anyway. So I'm going to come back here and paint. It's going to look awful, of course. Don't worry, we'll fix it. All right, so now we've got a little more of a match. We're going to come up here and change it to color mode and see what that looks like. So there's the before and the after, and I think that makes a little more sense. I'm going to bring the opacity down a touch, and that's better. And I think that's really nice. You could play around with the cropping, certainly, and decide ways that you might crop it. I'd love to see this more as a panoramic even, so we could come up to the crop and do, instead of an 8x10, maybe a 6x10. And let's see, just see what this would look like. Take out a little of that water. Maybe about like that. That's cool. I think that is amazing compared to from where we started. From that to that is pretty wild transformation, and only took us a few minutes. So what'd you think? I thought it was a crazy transformation. Really, considering where we started with that image and where we ended up, night and day. Doesn't even look like the same image. So I was thrilled with it. And as you saw, it wasn't really a ton of work. Having the ability to save those preset looks is also a huge helper as well, in case you need to go back and apply that same effect to something later. If you don't have Luminar 4 and would like to get your hands on a copy, you can use the discount code LarryPhoto and get a discount on the software. Finally, if this video helped you, I hope you'll take a second to hit the like button, and more importantly, watch another video here on the playlist and see if there's any other things that you might find interesting. We got tons of videos coming out over the next few weeks, and I would love to hear from you in the comments. So take care. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.